So, after 2 years of reading every single one of your guys' comments, one thing has become very clear to me. I'm an absolute idiot, and you guys are always right. In all reality, there are definitely some times that you guys have really helped out when I've gotten something wrong. I love you guys, and I really appreciate all of your comments, whether critical or not. With that being said, this video is to fix my mistakes. Some of these are things that have changed since the time when I made the video, some are things that I need to describe in a little bit better of detail, and there are also plenty of straight up mistakes. So with that, let's begin fixing my mistakes for Insider's Guide episodes 1 through 16. I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so good. The first ever Insider's Guides were for Winter Park, which I am intimately familiar with, having been skiing there regularly for a full decade. However, I still somehow made a bunch of mistakes in those first 3 parts of that Insider's Guide. Earlier this year, I made part D of that episode to fix those mistakes and go more in detail on some things. Because I made that video, I don't really have anything else to correct in this video, so let's go ahead and move on to episode 2. Episode 2 about Keystone doesn't have too much to correct. There was, however, a moment in which I give a false history, claiming that the Blue Run Frenchman used to be called Drunken Frenchman. Drunken Frenchman is indeed a run at Winter Park, and there's never been a run at Keystone called Drunken Frenchman. Frenchman has always just been Frenchman. Another thing I ought to mention is that there's a long catwalk here between North Peak and the Outback that does get quite slow when there's fresh snow, so beware of that if you're coming down into this valley from Anticipation or above. Something that is new at Keystone is this expansion that happened this past summer, called Bergman Bowl. I will be making a part C of the Keystone Insider's Guide to cover the Bergman Bowl at some point this season, so I'm not going to talk about that in this video. Let's head on to Episode 3. Episode 3 is the host of, by far, my most egregious error ever made in any video I've done, mispronouncing the name of the ski resort that I made an entire 3-part Insider's Guide episode about. The ski resort is named Alta. Alta, not Alta. Alta. Something I said I was unsure of in the video, as I never got to ski it, was if this Snowbird return trail here was actually connected to Snowbird. It indeed is. Episode 4 was the earliest Insider's Guide to get major attention, so my small mistakes have gotten plenty of attention. In discussing Copper Mountain, I mistakenly classified all of the blacks in the accelerator pod as mogul runs, when in reality CDLs is sometimes groomed, and the others get rolling grooming as necessary to preserve the snow quality. My bigger mistake was that I used the wrong trail map. The trail map featured in the video is a year old, and doesn't show all of these runs below the Timberline pod. In part B of the episode, I completely neglected to talk about Tucker Mountain, as due to my inexperience with the demographics of the YouTube skiing community, I erroneously believed I was talking primarily to intermediate and beginner level skiers. I may end up making a part C to talk about that in entirety, but here is Tucker Mountain in a nutshell. First off, the new trail map shows Summit Stash as a single black, as it should be. It's super steep, but it's groomed and pretty short. If you make the hike along the ridge all the way over to Summit Stash, or this other stuff from Mountain Chief, you get to go through this awesome mellow little meadow down at the bottom that's great to just mess around in. Western Slope and Falcon Alley both get pretty beat up, so I prefer not to ski those lines unless there's some fresh. The Taco is aptly named as it has some rock formations on both sides of the run, making it a bit of a shoot. By far my favorite runs are these to the lookers left of the chairlift, as they seem to be less busy and hold better snow. The Loveland episode, episode 5, is one of my most detailed Insider's Guides yet, and I think I got it mostly alright. Of course, please let me know if I didn't. The only thing I can think of for this one is this comment. If any of you know what this comment is supposed to mean, please explain it to me down below. The next episode about Alyeska is also pretty clean. My one major mistake with episode 6 was a mispronunciation of the name von Imhoff. That's the name of a former senator of the state of Alaska, and I apologize for my research blunder. Episode 7 is about my favorite and most frequented ski area, Arapahoe Basin. It would be an absolute travesty if I made any major mistakes with this one. Next is Breckenridge's Insider's Guide. There's also not much for this one. I want to clear up one thing. The blues on Peak 6 get rotated grooming, so oftentimes they'll have small obstacles, but no real moguls or anything of that sort. Additionally, the base of Peak 8 has been completely changed. If intending to get to peaks 9 or 10 from the base of 8, I would highly recommend taking Rip's Ride or 5 Superchair instead of Colorado. You may have to walk across the base area a little bit, but it'll totally be worth it when you skip the 30-minute line for the Colorado and get to hop right on a brand new lift that'll get you where you want to go so much faster than the Colorado. Episode 9 about Wolf Creek was generally pretty accurate. I did have a request, however, for a guide specifically for the advanced out-of-towners that shows, quote, the secrets, out-of-bounds, and poaching locations. What you'll often find from me in Insider's Guides is that I don't tell you guys about all of the secret spots to save those spots for the locals. These Insider's Guides get a lot of views, relatively speaking, so I don't want to ruin the experience for perennials. And, of course, I certainly cannot tell you about out-of-bounds and poaching locations for the sake of the legality of the content advice I'm giving you. Episode 10 was about Crested Butte. I don't have any major mistakes in the videos, but I want to make something perfectly clear to you guys. A lot of you have probably heard of Rambo. It gets a ton of media attention for being the steepest run in the US, but Rambo isn't even the hardest run at Crested Butte, and I will stand by this claim if it leads to the death of me. That claim belongs to Third Bowl and the surrounding terrain. If you want the Crested Butte extreme skiing experience, I promise you, go to Third Bowl, not Rambo. Rambo is a great novelty run. Third Bowl is a true heart-pounding adrenaline junkie type of run. That's all I have for Crested Butte. Episodes 11 and 12 were shorter episodes about 2 more local ski areas in Colorado. Both are pretty accurate throughout. Episode 13, however, was not exactly a short episode. Episode 13, for those of you who don't know, is a 5-part behemoth about the world's largest ski resort. Les Trois Vallées is an absolute mess to navigate, so you're welcome for the videos. You wouldn't believe the amount of research that went into the Val Thorens part. For the most part, the videos are accurate. When you're trying to summarize 600 kilometers of ski runs, however, there are guaranteed to be some slight inaccuracies. I haven't recognized any major ones thus far, but I'm sure some will get pointed out to me at some point. For the latter 2 parts of that episode, the voice is that of someone very near and dear to me because I had just broken my jaw and it was painful to talk, so I had her record those for me, if any of you were wondering. Episode 14, about Beaver Creek, also featured a different narrator because he is much more of an expert on Beaver Creek than I am. From the 2 times I've skied Beaver Creek, all of his information seems correct. Episode 15 is my favorite episode of Insider's Guide ever, about Sun Valley. I spent an ungodly amount of time making sure that one was all correct, so we should be all good there. Although apparently I need to clarify this. Look out, the one at the top of the mountain here only goes in one direction, from the restaurant here to the top of Mayday. Avoid taking this catwalk the other way by skiing Broadway all the way down to the Broadway lift. Episode 16 seems to be accurate so far. One thing to note about Purgatory, however, is that kids under 12 can get a season pass for entirely free. It's called the Power Kids Season Pass and has access to a bunch of resorts that include Purgatory. Additionally, lift tickets for 12 and under are completely free if a season pass isn't really your thing. So yeah, it's obvious that I'm perfect and have never made a mistake. Once again, thank you all so much for alerting me to all of my various mistakes. As you can probably tell, the mistakes are front-loaded to earlier episodes of Insider's Guide because I've gotten much better at researching as the series has developed over time. I thank you all for watching this video and wish you all the best of seasons. All my love, I'm out.